Facebook who said, I had a little problem with Walmart today. Apparently the cashier said, stripped down facing me, she was talking about my debit card.
That's funny. I like it.
Alright, let's see. Add people. We're going to add no fart. Okay, here's
No fart should be. Is he online? Because he said he was going to be here tonight. And then we've got no fart and Kevin.
All right, then let me add Kevin, and I want to get Kevin and you and I to have a business meeting so we can hit the ground running this week and make some shit happen.
Okay.
Okay, I'm serious.
Yes.
I've got my whole plate cleaned off so that this week we can do it.
Okay.
But I tried to call him all day and his phone was disconnected.
Well, you know what? His phone got completely swiped for some reason. We don't know what happened.
Someone stole his phone.
Yeah. Well,
his phone got totally wiped out.
Yeah, everything. The SD card, all of his numbers, all of his pictures were taken. Everything. We don't know. We kind of feel that maybe his phone got compromised.
Yeah, my phone is toast.
Do you have a backup of all your? I know Sprint usually did a backup about every 24 hours of all your contacts and shit.
Nope, no backups, no nothing, and it's weird if all of our phones are like on a family plan thing and everybody else's phones work just fine. They just attacked my line.
Holy shit.
We don't owe any money or anything. Which, so, the bill's paid. But they just wiped my phone.
And who was they? Was it the company? Did they take credit for that, or?
No, they don't know what happened and they apologized, but when they tried to give me another phone, they wouldn't let them add the line to it, and they couldn't explain why.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know if it was the anonymous protest or
Line.
Huh?
I said they want me to start a whole new line or whatever.
Oh, really? If they have a whole different phone number?
Whole new plan. Because I can't add it. It won't let them add it no more.
Oh, that is so weird.
Well, anyway, Kevin, I'd like to have you and Terry and I have a sales meeting tonight or tomorrow so we can hit the ground running. I've cleared off my whole agenda so I can focus strictly on sales.
Sure.
Kevin, can we make that happen too?
Yeah.
Do we want to do that? We want to do that tonight, or do we want to? Well, let's talk about it after the show.
We got Howie on the line.
Hi, Howie.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Oh, Howie, I had a big problem at Walmart today. Apparently, when the cashier said strip facing me, she meant my debit card.
She didn't see you under.
No, but when I was standing in line and making a purchase, apparently I did not realize that when the cashier said
strip facing me, she meant your debit card.
Right.
Oh, that wasn't on the wasn't posted on Facebook, so it didn't really happen.
Yeah, okay.
So you guys are in the Great Pacific Northwest, is that correct?
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook and laughed my ass off today when I saw that. And then I reposted it. Somebody wanted to know if I got arrested. I mean, they really thought that happened to me.
Well, one of the posts I saw on Facebook today was a naked woman got on a train and started screaming, "I am the goddess of this train."
Wow.
Yeah, and as in Terry Joyce is the goddess, isn't she? So I thought, oh my God, she's gone out of her mind.
Okay. Well, hopefully you'll hear the musical cues and all that groovy stuff tonight. Sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not. I'm going to hit the go live button now, and as soon as you hopefully hear the music play, you know it's happened. And when the music stops, the divine Terry will also let the whole world know it's time for him.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Wow, I don't know if I can handle being divine.
You think?
Okay.
Can you hear it?
No.
I don't hear any music.
Here? Alright. You're locked.
Welcome to Hollywood Hemptress Hour. I'm Terry Joyce, and you are listening to the Time for Hemp Network on iHeartRadio. And welcome to the show. With me, I have my co-host Kevin Korn from Hardcore Entertainment and Trips, and also I've got Northblatt Forsgren from Trips as well. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Yep, good to be here.
Great. Great. We're here at the midnight hour. So you know what? I just want to bring it up, and I know this isn't really particularly marijuana news, but we're all going to smoke our pipe while we talk about it because I think we need to smoke a pipe while we talk about it. You just posted Kevin and I do the show. Kevin and Northblatt and I do the show called Trips After Hours after we do Hollywood Hemptress Hour, and actually Casper Leach has joined us, and we film it on Skype and we all smoke weed and talk about stuff. And one of the subject matters that we talked about was the mysterious death of Brittany Murphy. And Kevin, brought up that, she was basically, did you say that she was like a secret agent, or you suspected that she was working for, like undercover against the Illuminati? Is that what you thought, Kevin?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's documentaries made on it, so I'm not the first person to, put it out there.
Uh-huh.
But there's documentaries on it that there was a lot of shady stuff. I mean, she was testifying in Homeland Security hearings. Just weird stuff that an actress shouldn't be doing. Unless she was doing other work. And then she died of mysterious reasons. She just mysteriously died supposedly of pneumonia.
Uh-huh.
And then 6 months later, her husband dies of pneumonia right after that.
Yeah.
Which he was the first one to come out and started saying she was killed.
Well, I've always found her death to be interesting. I mean, like, because she just seems so young, and then it just seemed like, and I think the first report was, it was something like natural causes, and what was she?
It was pneumonia, is what it came down to. They said she died of pneumonia. That was the actual autopsy report. Natural causes of pneumonia. Yeah. Same with her husband.
So now there was like something that came out just recently online, and
just today.
Yeah, today.
Night, basically over the weekend after we had that discussion. Over the weekend they actually exhumed her body and did another autopsy, and found high levels of metal, or what they're saying, metallic, residue. Otherwise, basically they're saying she was poisoned by rat poison. She was killed. Wow.
Yeah.
She died of pneumonia. She was poisoned by rat poison. And so her dad, who was 87, is pretty much trying to do as much press as possible, saying that his daughter was killed by government spies. Wow.
Pretty wild, yeah.
Right after we had that conversation, which I find just way coincidental.
Well, that's the second time that's happened to us.
Right, we had the LAX thing where I had made the proclamation that it was a false flag in order for TSA to get armed, and so then by Monday, we did that on a Friday, and by Monday, TSA was pushing stuff through the Senate to try to get armed, and so you have, like, Friday, we talk about mysteriously Brittany Murphy's death. Over the weekend, they go dig her up and do some tests, which I find weird, and then bam, front page news. It's like, wow. They should start paying us for this. Right? I think Fox owes me some royalties, or at least a job.
Yeah. Leaking information by Kevin Korn. It is kind of, it's been two coincidences now. It's 2 for 2. Which I find interesting. It doesn't seem like we have enough YouTube hits to have that big of a deal going on. Either.
YouTube, they get to watch stuff and they don't get to count them. They're like ghosts. They're like shadows. They're listening, but we don't see them on the numbers. Right. They could be 10 people watching. They could say 0 listeners.
Right.
Exactly. And they can still be, those 10 people can still be watching and listening. We don't know. I don't trust those numbers that YouTube gives me. That's ran by Google. You ever seen Google's numbers? You should sell some of their marketing.
So, We do have we have a really great show tonight. I've got a comedian on the show that I've been working on getting to be on Hollywood Hemptress Hour for a long, long time. And the first time I invited him to be a guest was when I was doing a show. I'm again, I've done the subject matter a lot, and we've talked about it often. You and I, not only on trips but also on this show. But the theory that magic mushrooms or cannabis or hallucinogenics or ayahuasca or different kinds of plants actually are part of spiritual enlightenment or spiritual practice or cosmic insight, things like this. And so at that time, he wanted to be a guest on my show and had the worst. He had, couldn't speak, laryngitis. Had found out that he had a polyp and has it removed, and now is, completely able to be on the show. And he also has another story that we're going to get into, where he's way more involved with marijuana than I ever expected him to be, and yet today he doesn't really partake, but he does have something to say about his experience. It's quite extraordinary, and you could even I believe that you can make a film out of it, or definitely a movie of the week. So I'd like to introduce to the show Howie Wallfish. Welcome.
Welcome. Hello. Thank you.
Yeah.
How you guys doing? All right?
Yeah. We're doing good.
Good. I was listening to I saw the Brittany Murphy thing today,
Uh-huh.
and that really struck me because when she first died, I just thought, I always liked her, and I just thought, damn, another Hollywood celebrity with talent and likability taken to the mat by prescription drug medication.
Right.
Because, prescription drugs are very tempting, and if you have the financial resources, you read these stories about how Matthew Perry was taking 40 Vicodin a day, Sarah Silverman was taking 18 Xanax a day. I've indulged in these medicines. I had impacted wisdom tooth. They gave me Vicodin. I lived on them for like a month. Then when they ran out, that was done. Now, had I millions of dollars at the time, would I have continued? I don't know. But we're going to lose a lot more celebrities to that. That was my assumption. And I think that, I'm pretty sure on TMZ, they probably mentioned, or they always do, there may have been empty bottles, whatever. What is a woman that age dying? She had apparently been sickly for a while. And then the husband, who I think was a lot older than her, he went 6 months later. Now, I never knew anything about this thing about her testifying at Homeland Security or anything like that. This is the first I'm hearing of that. But I remember the mother, and I'm not accusing the mother, but the mother was taking care of her, or the mother was involved in that. And I just know from watching, all these various, if I could go back in time, I would have studied criminology at college. They have a saying in homicide detectives have a saying. I play a detective in these murder mystery dinner shows. So I use this line at the end when I wrap up and I bring the people through the whole, what happened. And the line is follow the money. Now, Brittany Murphy and her husband, I assume had some money. I have no idea what the mother's like, but I can tell you this. Before they're looking into the Illuminati, the police will be looking at the mother. That's my belief. I don't know what they're going to find out, and the whole thing is very bizarre, but they seem to have it confirmed that it was rat poisoning, and that happened slowly. Like women, that's how women kill their husbands, usually, slowly with poison. Some of them will shoot them in the middle of the night while they're sleeping, but women usually kill. Poison is a big way women kill. They slip it slowly and in the coffee or in the cereal, and over time it looks like an illness. And a lot of poisons, doctors wouldn't. They'd have no reason to think,
And you bring up a really good point. You bring up a really good point about the, like you thought it was drugs at first, because I think a lot of people did, but a lot of that goes further into the story of they tried to, when it's before they actually got her, they tried to just sabotage her career by telling everybody she was on drugs and making her look bad publicly through media. And that's when all those stories and headlines came out. And the time.
If you want to make a Hollywood celeb look bad, that's very easy to do.
Right, it was.
Yeah, it's very easy to start spreading the slightest rumor about prescription drug use or, you know, crack, cocaine, or whatever, and it's particularly prescription drug use because that is epidemic in America, and it's very available amongst those who have financial resources. And if you've ever had dental work, like I just had, I'm in the midst of dental work, and you know, they give you the Vicodin. My dentist will give me like 14 or 15 of them in the aftermath of the last two root canals, and you know, those things make you feel good.
But don't you feel? I mean, what I'm finding out about doctors and pharmaceuticals is that they actually get a kickback. They get money for prescribing
Yeah.
certain ones.
Well, yeah.
And does that play? I mean, I think maybe that comes into play on what's going on.
They changed the laws. Here's one of the things that goes on, because I knew women that were pharmaceutical reps, and I knew people in that industry.
I used to date it. I was engaged to a pharmaceutical sales rep.
Okay.
I know it's
So
ironic, but it's true.
They're all good looking and charming.
Right.
The women are all very good looking. So doctors are always going to meet with them, and their whole goal is to get the doctors to take their samples. Now, what they used to do years ago, I did murder mysteries for Amgen, Bayer, Merck. And what they would do is they would invite doctors out to a dinner that would probably, if the doctors came on their own with their wives or whatever, would have been $150 to $200 a person with the show and the dinner and cocktails. But before the dinner and cocktails, and before the dinner started, they had their cocktails, and then there was a presentation by someone from one of the pharmaceutical companies saying this drug takes care of, you know, shaky legs, crazy legs, whatever it is, the statin drugs, whatever the new drug was, they'd give a presentation. So the doctors had to in order to get this free night out of entertainment and dinner, sat through a half an hour presentation, being motivated to, of course, suggest to their patients, let's try this drug. You know, let's try this new drug for your condition, whatever it may be. But then we stopped doing those. They passed the law. You know, it's exactly what you said. It's basic kickback. But just because the laws exist, we all know there are unethical doctors, and we all know there are unethical pharmaceutical reps, and there are unethical people everywhere, and there are people that are going to pay no attention to any given law if there's monies to be made. And so I'm sure that in that industry, that stuff is going on. You know, and doctors are there are doctors out there suggesting to patients drugs that they might not really need, you know? And that really sucks. That's wrong.
I had an experience recently where I was attacked by my roommate's cat. It was kind of feral, and I'm a cat lover, but it got a hold of my eye, and yeah, and then the next day I had, a big shiner, and of course, anytime you have any type of animal scratch, especially close to your eye, I was very concerned about, infections and things like that. And so, I went in. I went into the emergency, and the doctor looked at me. And it's funny when you have like a black eye, because they get like the hospital has to go through these questions like, well, do you feel safe in your home? And I'm like, no, I was, I've just.
Oh yeah, they assume domestic violence.
Right. I go, yeah. They go, do you feel safe in your home? And I'm like, no, I was pussy whipped. But the doctor wanted to prescribe me some medication. He says, well, do you need anything for the pain? And I looked at him, and I was like, you mean like drugs? And he's like, yeah. He goes, I'm legally required to ask you that. And I'm like, wow, he's legally required. And then I had this moment of like, do I need drugs? And I thought about like what would I do with them? Because I wasn't really in any pain. And, then I wanted to look at my friend and go, do you want some drugs? But then I thought that wouldn't be appropriate. And so I ended up saying no. But I just found it was interesting to see. It just seemed so easy to get it.
Yeah, well, let me make this suggestion. Unless you are a true addict and you know you're a true addict and you have no self-discipline or self-control, it's always good to have those pain meds on hand for out of the blue, unexpected dental issues. Because if you wake up one day and you've got the dental issues and you have to entertain like we do, and when I had that impacted wisdom tooth, it was 4 Gs. It was unbelievable with this thing that I had. And I couldn't get it done because it was in December. I do these murder mystery shows with a lot of corporate parties. So the pain. I mean, I'm not big on physical discomfort. So I had 2 weeks I was eating those Vicodins like 4 times a day. Then I had the surgery, and then 2 weeks later, 4 Vicodins a day, and then they ran out, and I was done. But I have at other times woke up and it's like, oh, here we go. I've got tooth issues, and but again, some people should not have that stuff on hand, and others can have it on hand, and know, that if something comes up and they can't afford to go see the doc, and the pain is unbearable, they got something to help contend with it, and they can sleep or they can function or whatever. But those are opiates. The worst one, that OxyContin stuff. They're breaking it to They can't keep that in pharmacies because they have bands of drug addicts that break into the pharmacies because that's heroin in a pill. That's like the most addictive thing. Vicodin, hydrocodone, Percocets, those are all pain relievers, and they give you a lift. They make you feel good, but they are definitely addictive.
Yeah. Well, the same thing with marijuana. It's like you can use that for pain, and yes, it will give you a lift, but it's not going to do. You're not going to crash like you do on those drugs, and also possibly like die with them. We'll be right back. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be back with Howie Wolfish and his fabulous story.
Okay, good.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Yes.
All right. So when we get back, you want to get to the story?
Yeah. I want to.
You want to get to the mushrooms first?
It's up to you. I'm interested in the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
About the marijuana story.
Yeah. And
relates back to.
Did you hear the ad at all?
What?
I don't hear the ad. I'm not hearing the ad.
No.
Oh, and I can promote a couple things right at the end.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just have to cue you all tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't hear nothing.
Yeah. I can't hear anything. I can't hear.
Dang, damn it.
Damn it.
These highfalutin, high-fangled shit. I tell you, I need to get back to the 1930s where I belong.
Yeah, right. You're out of time.
Thank you.
I
want to sit and watch radio all day.
There you go.
Oh, well, we're a chatty crew, aren't we?
I know, we're kind of quiet tonight. Normally we talk more.
I don't want to talk too much because I don't know when we're going to be. I can't hear the music, so I don't want to be chatting.
You
come back on.
You got 3 minutes and 33 seconds to shoot the shit.
Right.
So what are you guys running now? What kind of, you have local sponsors up there from where you live, or what do you run as your ads?
Well, actually, right now I don't have real ads yet, but we're running certain things, like kind of stuff in between to feel like they're ads. So that people get used to it, and then that's where the the natural break's going to go. But the next thing is right now we're starting to sell those or get that sponsorship. So
what is this going out on right now on the internet? On which
you are listening to Time for Hemp Broadcasting Network on iHeartRadio, Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, all over the internet where people like to stop and take Time for Hemp.
Wait, what was the first part before iHeartRadio?
You are listening to the Time for Hemp Broadcasting Network all across the internet on iHeartRadio, Tumblr, which is an application, SoundCloud, which is also an application, iTunes. We have been in iTunes for a long, long time. And our iTunes gets about 3,000 downloads a day, which is nice. And get like about 5 downloads a day on Spreaker. I mean, it just depends on what you're on and what you're up against. And this is a networking broadcast company that has brought together Tara Joyce and Judge James Gray and Steve Bloom, with just Celeb Stoner, and about 25 other hosts who are major prominent marijuana activists. Their audience is going to follow them to our website, and we within 60 days will be the biggest goddamn thing on the fucking internet when you type in hemp and marijuana.
All right, fantastic. Maybe they'll. I'm gonna start one of these Kickstarter campaigns soon to be able to tell the story. My story would look great as a documentary, as a web series, or right on TV, like it's a reality or a reenactment show. It's just unbelievable, unbelievable story, and unbelievable characters. Some very entertaining characters when you're in that world. Some very entertaining characters.
Yeah, your story is pretty it's interesting.
It goes all the way back to when I was 15 years old. I'll explain it. It starts there.
You started at age 15. Wow.
We were in the schoolyard at Bayside, Queens, New York. Entrepreneurial, intellectually gifted children, arrogant New York Jewish kids.
Oh no, nobody in New York's arrogant. Give me a break.
We discovered that. Instead of just buying pot, we could buy it, break it up, sell it, and get our pot for free. And we were off and running. And
well,
we had
you're coming back.
Okay, we're back. Okay.
In about 40 seconds, 30 seconds.
Okay.
I'll give you a countdown when I hit your bumper, Joyce.
Okay.
We're gonna be doing that in about 10 seconds.
All right, so you're gonna hit my bumper, but you'll tell me I'm gonna come in after that.
I'll do a 5, 4, 3.
Okay.
And let's see, we're going to hit your bumper right now. And we got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and you are live.
Welcome back to Hollywood Hemptress Hour on the Time for Hemp Network on iHeartRadio. We're back with my special guest, Howie Wallfish, a stand-up comedian, and also Kevin Korn and North Blatt Forsgren from Hardcore Entertainment and Trips. Welcome back, guys.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Good to be back.
I feel like we're all kind of faded tonight for some reason. We're like,
These days, I'm not awake at this time.
I know.
Anymore, but,
it's like it's mid.
Terry and I have been trying to get this together for a while. Like she said, a year ago, I sounded like a cross between Darth Vader, the Godfather, and a little old Jewish man. It was not pleasant. And Halloween actually was the 1-year anniversary of my surgery, and that was quite trippy, man. That was Star Trek time. They brought me into this facility. There's all these beds, and I remember the anesthesiologist telling me, I had to not talk for a week in the aftermath, and I'm known to be quite a talker, quite a conversationalist, and that was going to be a real challenge, because you had to let it heal. And he said, he told me he went on a retreat with a Catholic church, and he wasn't Catholic. And he said it was really amazing because it was a silence thing. And I thought, okay, well, maybe this is what I need is, a week of not talking. But they were just, God bless them, man. I mean, they were unbelievable. 1 hour, and it was done. And a week later, I was performing again. So,
wow. That's great.
Fantastic.
So great to hear.
Masterful.
And it's also great to have you here and to be able to speak your story. I'm kind of astounded. You never know what experiences an individual has surrounding marijuana, but you were actually getting 25 to 50 pounds of marijuana at your house and transporting it or selling it through the mail and having all these parties and
Here's what it was. I had, now this December 15th, like a month away, less than a month away, will be 4 years since my arrest. October 31st was the end of my probation, finally. I still owe them some money on the fine. What happened was, probably 14 years ago, money was tight. Money was very tight. And when money's tight, there was an old thing. There was a thing I had heard growing up, or in my teens, from some of the older guys, and then in my 20s when I worked at restaurants. And the saying is, when money's tight, you do what you know. You know, you got to put your dreams aside, whatever. You got to make money. You got to stay afloat. You got to stay inside the house. You don't want to be living in the park. I see them. There's a park right near my house. That can't happen to me. So what do I know? I knew I spent many years in the restaurant business. I worked as a waiter for many years, and then I was 7 years as a manager. But when I left it, I had to leave it because if I didn't leave it, someone was going to get beaten to death with a big pepper shaker. I was done. I was done dealing with the public. So when money got so tight, it was like, what do you know? I know restaurant work. I know entertainment. I've been doing these murder mystery shows for years, actually entertaining comedically and getting paid, not doing stand-up shows around town and having to buy a drink to get stage time.
Right.
The other thing, right, that's the game. You know,
Yeah.
The only way you make money as a comic is you got to go out of town. You still don't make enough.
Right.
The best gig in comedy in LA is being a warm-up guy for a TV show, and that's no easy task.
Well, you don't really even get to be like a real comic. You know, you're still, doing everything. Like you're basically a crowd wrangler more than you are, giving your point of view and having your own individual expression. So,
right.
Yeah.
But then the other thing I knew in the way of making money was selling pot. Because when we were younger in New York, we grew up hanging out in the schoolyard in Bayside, Queens. And we were told when we were in kindergarten that we were intellectually gifted children. There were like 30 or 40 of us. And they should never have told us that because it brought upon us a great arrogance.
Northblatt, are you laughing?
But we were truly intellectually gifted, and we saw opportunity.
Uh-huh.
And when pot came into the neighborhood, we bought it. And then we realized, well, we're buying it. You know, we were 15 years old. We don't really have money for this, and then we found a way to get it given to us on credit, an ounce, break it up into, this is years ago. We'd sell nickels a pot, and we'd get a nickel, $5, $10 worth of pot for free.
Well, those were the days.
Yeah, those were the days. But then our business grew and grew, and we were probably making more money than a lot of the adult males in that neighborhood, because our money was all tax-free. And so that I moved out of New York just in time. They had started coming looking for me. They pretty much left us alone. We were white, middle-class Jewish neighborhood, some Italian, some Irish, but there was never violence in our area. I think the cops really didn't care, and a lot of the reason there wasn't violence is everybody was getting stoned, you know. So
how old were you then? How old were you then when you left?
We were like 16 to 19.
Okay.
It went on for like 3 years. Then in my 20s in Santa Barbara, I waited tables at like some high-end restaurants. It was really cool. I really loved living in that town. Tried to marry into those trust funds. They would not have this New York Jew. And I realized I'd never make my fortune there. But I did supplement my income selling pot. You know, I found the way. I found the people and whatever. And then it was done. At one point in this town, in my 30s, for 5 years, I walked away from pot. I just stopped smoking it. And then I was at a party. My friend had great parties down by the beach. I was leaving. There was a bunch of people in front of his huge fireplace bonging away. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go have some bong hits. And all of a sudden, I'm smoking pot again. And then years later, I said, I got to walk away from it as a landmark birthday was approaching. 9 months without smoking pot. Because it no longer was getting me high. It was getting me anxiety-ridden. You know, it happens to a lot of people as they get older. Some continue, and, you know, like you guys are talking about smoking bowls while you're doing the show. Let me just say, and everybody's different, but for me, if I smoked a bowl of bud right now, I'd be in the corner of my bed, under the covers, fetal position, sobbing uncontrollably and obsessing about every mistake I ever made with women and money. So, you know, but I'm a businessman. I'm in it for the money, and I was helping people. What happened was I had worked selling precious metals for 3 weeks. I met a guy at that job. A nasty job, total con thing. It gave me an ulcer. It was good to get out. We remained friends. He lived up in Northern Cal. He got in trouble. He owed a lot of money. He had been a troublemaker when he was younger, one of the strongest guys I ever knew, and he committed armed robbery. He went to one of those prison camps. He went and fought the fires. And when he got out, he had part Native American Indian. He went to see the shaman, and he got his name changed to an Indian name, a Native American name. And he got to planting, and he learned all about growing bud. And there's pictures of me in his garden, 9 feet tall, 4 feet wide plants. It's hysterical. But what the deal was, because we knew each other well and he trusted me, and I was now, money's tight, what do? You do what you know. I called him. And he said, I'll give you so many pounds, bring it down there, do your thing, blah, blah, blah. What happened was, the pot we smoked in New York all those years ago was not, the pot today is unbelievable. But
Yeah.
10 years ago it was unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah.
And they don't get this in New York, and they don't get it in Florida, and they don't get it in Michigan. And so I made contacts, and I had friends, of course, in New York, and I was off and running. And I was shipping marijuana across the country in United States Postal Service Express mailboxes. Sometimes a couple of ounces, sometimes a quarter pound, sometimes a pound and a half. Then I was also setting up people here in town, fronting them a quarter pound, half a pound. And because of what I was doing, and this is where the absurdity of its illegality is, I kept people in their apartments. They were able to stay in their apartments. They were able to make a living. They were able to have cash flow, which meant they were able to go to the grocery store and Costco and Trader Joe's and Target.
And Trader Joe's. What about Whole Foods? No, I'm kidding.
No, Whole Foods is the biggest rip-off in the world.
I
I will not
know.
go in that store. I will not go in that store. And I'll tell you something else. I don't know if they have it up there, but down here, before you go into Target now, you got to go to Big Lots. Big Lots is unbelievable. It's basically free. You get stuff for like nothing. It's unbelievable. But anyway, getting back to my wild story, what I wound up doing was to get this bud, I had to drive up north. Now, in the beginning, I would drive up north like 7 hours. I'd leave at like at 8 in the morning, get there about 2:33. And a lot of times I'd spend the night. I had friends up in wine country, and I had the time to hang out. And then it changed, and I had to do it. I would do these guerrilla runs by myself. But what I would do is I would rent like a nondescript car from Enterprise Rent-A-Car, like a silver or tan Toyota Camry. I'd have clothes hanging in the back like I was a salesman, And I'd also have a story ready that I like to go up to the casinos. I had friends in wine country, and I went up and I played poker, And I always had a story in case I got pulled over by the cops. But the thing was, I gave them no reason to pull me over. If anybody goes to my Facebook page now, it's fairly obvious that I don't look like a menace to society.
No, not at all. No.
I don't have the shaved head and the neck tats and the droopy face.
Right.
And hey, you dress however you want, but understand that law enforcement has a perception.
Yes.
And if you're of color and you have the droopy pants and the tricked out car and the shaded windows, you're getting pulled over. So if you're carrying pounds of pot, best to look like a young student or a salesman on a road trip, and that's what you do. So I go up to see my pal, get there about 2 o'clock, 2:30, load up with 25 to 40 pounds of bud, put it in the trunk of the car.
Wow.
And blast back down the freeway.
$250, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. Now, here's another reason I stopped smoking. Let me tell you something. And even if pot agrees with you in the greatest way, most people that have smoked it have experienced the side effects of now and then the paranoia. That's one of the reasons a lot of people stop smoking pot. The side effects for some people are the paranoia and the anxiety. And that's not getting high. Other people just get the shit-eating grin, and that's fantastic. When I was younger, total aphrodisiacal. Totally. Lovey-dovey. The whole deal. And it was great. But now I'm sitting in my home alone. And I don't have a security system. I did have a shotgun and a 9mm, but I don't want to go shooting anybody. But I'm sitting at home alone in the living room. The pot's sinking in, and this pot, is very strong. And, you get hyper-aware when you smoke bud.
Yes.
And it dawns on me, I'm sitting in a house with 40 pounds of pot.
So you start freaking out?
Like Howie. And it also, for me, I saw a therapist. But one day I walked into his office. And I complained to him, because I have friends, my friend that I shipped it to in New York, he would drive in from Jersey to New York, and he was in the garment business, and this is a brutal business. and he smoked 2 big joints. And this bud, it was crazy when I'd send him the bud. They never had pot like this. He said, Howie, I can't get rid of this fast enough. People were out of their minds. He was selling it for $600, $700, $750 an ounce. What was going for $450 an ounce here? Because they don't get it there. Everything's more expensive in New York. It's not a big surprise to them. So he would tell me that he'd smoke 2 big joints on the way in from New Jersey to Manhattan to work in the garment center, which is a brutal business. And I'd say to him, how can you possibly do that? Because if I did that, like I say, I'd probably be in a hospital with a Valium drip in my arm. And he said to me, I'll never forget this. He said, Howie, I couldn't do it without it. Pot totally agrees with him. The last 2 days, his kid in college brought him home some of the Munchables. And he texted me today while he was watching football. I ate a half a cookie, man. I am so happy.
So I want to ask you.
Back to what my
Yeah.
said to me, because this is very interesting. I had another friend that smoked it, went and sold. He did liquor and wine distribution. I had friends that smoked it and went to the gym and worked out like maniacs. And the main thing that bothered me was I could no longer be sociable. I'm self-obsessed and self-absorbed enough. So if there's any kind of medicine or drug that causes me to be more self-absorbed, this is not good.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, it totally makes them sociable. They are shy, and it opens them up. And so I come in and I say to my therapist, this is just not right, man. This one can go to work, and he writes up business. This one goes working out. This one goes to party and meets chicks. This one does that. It ain't right. Why is it when I smoke it, I'm in the corner of the bed obsessing about the past? And he said to me, Howie, there always has been, there is now, and there always will be 20% of the population that reacts adversely to marijuana. And the sooner you recognize if you're one of that 20%, the better off you are. Now, I will say this. If I win tomorrow night's Mega Millions, and all my debt is wiped out, and I own my house outright, and my money is earning me $20,000 a week, and I'm in Hawaii or Costa Rica with my island girls.
Yeah.
And
Casper will be your new boyfriend.
Yeah, and I think and some Xanax at my side in case the anxiety kicks in. Although I don't think it would in those circumstances.
I think that exists everywhere.
Well, you know what Timothy Leary said.
Pretty sure that's built in.
Timothy Leary said set and setting. So if you're in the situation I was in and you're alone in your house smoking bud, and I was watching TV, and then I'd get anxiety ridden. So then I drink vodka on the rocks with some lemonade. Snapple had this peach juice and lemonade and watermelon, and it was awesome with vodka, especially in the summer. Unbelievably refreshing. But then I'd be like,
Howie, I have to interrupt for a minute. We do have to take a commercial break, and before we take it, I just wanted to let you know that when you said that you were like really the way you looked on Facebook, actually Casper put your link and checked you out on Facebook, and he says in the chat that you look like Brad from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That was Alec Baldwin. Wasn't Brad Alec Baldwin?
No, I think it was.
Who was in the TV series with Michael J. Fox on the when he played the mayor.
Spin City.
Right. Who was?
Who I'm told I look like is a cross between Chandling, John Travolta, and a young Jerry Lewis.
Ah! All right. Well, we'll be back right after that with more of Howie Wallfish. Stay tuned.
Okay.
So, I want to maybe just go into I want to hear about the I'm curious about the going through the mail. Like, how did you get that through the mail like that?
I'm gonna explain all that.
Smelling, and then also hit the area of so the mail, and then your bust, and why didn't you go to jail? I'm curious about that too.
I'll tell you all about that.
Okay, all right.
To take it right through how my business was rollicking, the parties were rollicking, I was legendary and beloved, and I made one mistake. I thought the police did not care. People would try to talk the code in me on the phone, and I get annoyed very easy with certain things. And I'm like, listen, nobody gives a fuck about what I'm doing with marijuana, You want an ounce, you want an eighth of an ounce, you want a quarter pound, just fucking tell me. I don't want to hear your code talk. Nobody's listening. Nobody cares. And I was wrong. They did care.
Okay. All right. So that's interesting. It's interesting that you had that view about them not caring. So that's.
I would never have believed it.
Uh-huh.
I was stunned that they cared. Stunned. I heard no one. There was no violence in my deal. You understand? I was dealing with like family men. I was dealing with comics and actors. You know, nobody was hurt, and everybody was helped.
Right.
And that was that. So,
And you didn't have to pay taxes, which is the best part.
No, you don't have to pay taxes.
Well, it's what I've been saying for years.
Right.
I've been preaching this for years. It was the last tax-free, form of income that was not only socially acceptable but morally acceptable. You could go to sleep at night with a clear conscience, and now, I mean, it's being, of course the government saw that. They've since hijacked it, and now it's started its legalization process.
Yeah, but it's moving too slowly. And of course, I mean, money is what moves everything. At some point, the morality issue of those that are against it, that think it's going to ruin the children, and all that shit will be overtaken by the recognition that we are losing not millions, but billions, especially with the hemp. But you can be sure that R.J. Reynolds, Philip Morris, they're at the ready with grow houses you can't even imagine the size of. It ain't going to be people like us that are going to be able to make a living off of marijuana when it's fully federally legalized. That's going to be all in the hands of the tobacco companies.
Well, I feel that some people don't even want to have it legalized because of that. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, so, but what if there was a chance, this is how I like to look at it, what if there was a chance to actually maybe, like, get a different system than to allow it to be the way it is? Like, is there a way that we can actually, take control of how the money is dispersed and maybe create a different type of paradigm? Is that possible? Maybe I'm just like naive.
I'll tell you when that's going to be possible. And one of two times. Either when the benevolent extraterrestrials announce themselves, or Jesus himself steps back down on the Temple Mount. We're too far in. It's too far in.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm feeling that we're getting. We should probably be talking about this on the air, but I feel that we're getting so frustrated with our current situation that I feel that a lot of people are looking for. I know that I'm looking for a different way. I feel that way.
I agree. I totally understand. It's just making that change. That's a big, big change. It's just like
that's it. Make that change. We gotta make that change. I'm looking at the man in the mirror.
I'm telling him to change his ways. No.
But imagine if someone, they say that someone came up with a way to make water run motor vehicles. That they got a process.
Yeah, well, we're coming.
Suppose they really.
Are we coming back?
We're coming back in about. Okay. I'm going to run your bumper music.
All right.
Seconds, and then your bumper music.
Okay.
And by the time you do the math, we'll be back.
Okay.
Starting your bumper
And
now.
am I doing my own counting?
All right.
And we're back with Hollywood Hemptress Hour on the Time for Hemp Network at iHeartRadio. Now, and we're back with Hollywood Hemptress Hour on the Time for Hemp Network on iHeartRadio. I'm Terry Joyce. I'm your host. And with me is my co-hosts, Kevin Korn and North Black Forsgren. And we have our special guest, Howie Wallfish, who is talking about how he basically made a lot of money selling, selling and shipping marijuana from California to the East Coast and other parts of the United States through our federal mail system, and actually a lot of other people were able to get well and be prosperous at the same time, and it was tax free. So, Howie, welcome back to the show, and I want to take you to the place. Like, I am curious about how did you package this, and how did you disguise the smell and all that kind of stuff?
Simple technology. You go to Costco, you get the food saver.
Uh-huh.
You get the food saver, and it's vacuum packed. And you double vacuum pack. You pack up your quarter pound or your pound or your 2 half pounds or your ounce, and you just double vacuum pack it. It's unbelievable when you use that machine. It's a great machine. And it's great, like, if you're single and you like to shop at Costco, say, buy a lot of food, you can seal the stuff up. It sucks all the air out. And you don't have to worry about the dogs or any of that stuff. It's a non-issue. So that's what you would do. Now, the funny thing is, I thought I was, Mr. Smart, and I'm wearing gloves and, not getting prints on it and putting a phony address. And when I go to the post office, I'd wear my baseball cap and sunglasses, and I'd try to get I'd bring a box.
I was just thinking about something like, what a great day if like, if you had the phony address, but if it was your address and there wasn't enough postage, and all of a sudden you have a pound of weed come to your house, you'd be like, God has been smiling at me. But I was just thinking about that. Okay. Sorry.
I will tell you this also. It was work. It's not, people might think, well, you sell pot, you don't work. No, there was a lot of work involved. I'll tell you right now. Hours of work, sitting in my living room alone. You got to weigh it out. Everybody wants the good buds, the big buds. You got to satisfy your customers. It's a business, just like any other business. And I had to distribute to clients I set up in business on credit. And we also started using the banking system. I don't know how I got away. I'll be quite honest when I look back on it, but I got away with it for 10 years. It's pretty amazing, especially after.
Okay, so 10 years. And now, like, there was a point where you got, like, when did it all come, how did it all come crashing down on you?
Well, here's what happened. I was doing great with my deal back east. I was going to Florida now. I was going to Michigan. I had 2 guys out here I was fronting goods to, and then one moved to Ohio and one moved to Indiana. So it was great. We had new markets. I had somebody in San Diego. And I had people here. And one of the things I would do is I had one of those mail slots where they put the mail in and wound up in your house, not in your mailbox.
Uh-huh.
So I would just leave packages on my patio. I didn't want to see people all day long all the time. And I'd just say, it's going to be at this spot on the patio, just slip the money through the mail slot. Or I was gone running errands, or I was doing a show, or I was doing a background work maybe if I was lucky. I was working on a commercial, whatever it might be. And
right.
So you come over to my house, pick up the package, and slip the money in the mail slot. I just want to say, that was one of the best things about that business. I would come home at 10, 11, midnight, and I'd go to that mail slot, and there was cash money in this box. And it was awesome. Cash money is an awesome thing. And so I had my one friend in Ohio this is all comes down to judgment calls. He hooked up, he was on the outskirts of Cleveland, I think by 2 or 3 hours. And he hooked up a kind of a inner city black kid who dressed and drove exactly like I talked about earlier. He's the kind of guy the police would pull over, the tricked out car. They see through the window. They just, police are trained and they've got their instincts and they're suspicious. And I don't know if he was speeding. I don't know. But he got pulled over. And when he was being pulled over, he was driving a my guy to bring back a half a pound of pot and $3,000 in cash. And they popped him. And there's no question that he's the one who snitched me out, because the day that I got popped, 2 things happened. I didn't, even in the aftermath of his getting arrested, he wanted to get back in it, and I was very wary. But he had these uncles that ran a club in Ohio and in Vegas. They were money guys,
Uh-huh.
and they actually were coming out here, and I met them, but not at my house. And I have good instincts. We met at the Boston Market near my house. They seemed okay. I brought them to my house. They liked my bud. They gave me $5,300 for a pound. They told me they were going to send me 25 grand in cash in the mail. I didn't believe them. Who the fuck sends 25 grand in cash in the mail?
Did they?
Who does that? I didn't believe them. But then a couple of days after that is when I was in my living room with $9,000 in cash, 3.5 pounds of pot, 2 express mailboxes sealed up, ready to go, and I was working on putting together more packages. I was waiting on a friend to come over who would just get 1/8 of an ounce. So my door was unlocked, but closed, but not closed all the way. I had no cause to look through the peephole when I heard a knock. Okay, and I was talking about the banking. This is important. This is a big part of it. And especially after 9/11 and all the, they watching things because of how the terrorists moved money and whatever. And I was having money moved to different accounts. Sometimes my guys would go to, if there was a B of A or a Chase, sometimes they'd express mail me or FedEx me 5,000 in cash. So I was waiting on 5,200 in cash, and my guy had FedExed it, and it was never late. That stuff always came on time. It was 2 days late. This was a little strange, but it wasn't panic. And this is a risky business. If you're a big boy and you get in this business, if you don't think at some point you're going to lose, you're just kidding yourself. Somebody's going to rip you off. Somebody you're going to front goods to is not going to pay it back. This is what's going to go on. But nobody wants to lose 5,200 in cash. And so, while I was packing up, before the knock on the door came, this kid, I told my guy that the kid who got busted could call me directly. And he kept calling me, and he's going, well, I said, look, I'm in the middle of packing stuff up now. He goes, well, will you pack me a 1/4 pound, and let me just show you that I can get this going again, at least front me a 1/4 pound. And I'm like, I don't know. Let me just give this some thought. And then he calls me back again. And what was happening was he was sitting with the police in Ohio.
Uh-huh.
He was sitting with the United States Postal Task Force in Ohio, and they were giving him the instructions because they wanted to make sure that when their team out here got to my door, they had me dead to rights. So there's a knock on the door, and I think nothing of opening the door because I'm expecting my pal to come for his 1/8 of an ounce of bud.
Yeah.
And I opened the door, and it was like a fucking movie scene. 8 of them, 2 big black guys. The woman, 2 women, and the women could have kicked my ass. There was 8 of them, all with the guns on their hips and the blue, windbreakers with the big yellow letters, and it said USPS Task Force. And it was an Asian guy that was their leader, and he had the cigar box with the 5,200 in it, and he held it up in front of my face as I opened the door, and he goes, "Are you Howard Wallfish?" And you just like, they got you. I mean, when I opened the door, the smell of that bud, even if you're not smoking it, it's so potent. They had me dead to rights. I go, yeah, what's going on? And I'm trying to play innocent, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
I had a recliner chair on my patio. I sat down, and I'm, trying to catch my breath, and they go, we going to have to get a search warrant, or, I'm like, no, you don't have to get a fucking search warrant. And my girlfriend was asleep. There was a back room, and she was working a lot, so sometimes the back room used to be a sound studio. So it's a really nice place to go for quiet. And they come in, and they got me. Like I say, there's 3.5 pounds laid out in the living room. They got me. And I'm saying to the Asian guy appears to be in charge, I go, you know what? Just shoot me now.
On that, we do have to take a break here for a moment. We'll get back. Before we do take our commercial break, I just have one question. Are you still with the same girlfriend?
Yes, but we're actually roommates now.
Oh, cool.
We have a long history.
Oh, full. Oh, that's...
One quick thing before the break. Here's what the guy in charge said to me.
Uh-huh.
When I said, just shoot me now, please. He said, it's not the crime of the century.
Wow.
That was his line to me.
I
I'll
love
tell you
it.
the rest of it when we come back.
Okay,
It gets
all right.
better. It
Well,
gets better.
all right, we'll be right back after this break.
Okay. Okay, so how are we doing? We giving your guests a show?
Yeah, I think so.
Listeners a show?
Yeah. I like. I mean, I think it's a great. I think it's a fascinating story. I don't think it's something that I don't hear every day, right?
No.
Yeah.
And I don't look the part.
Right.
You know, nobody would look at me and think that's what I'm doing. I had a secret life. I'll get to the parties. We got to mention the parties because they really were legendary. And then I'll get to the aftermath of the rest and those two guys with the 25 grand and why I didn't go to jail.
Okay. Let's let's get this in like the next segment. Also, I want to play quickly your little clip that we have as well.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
sure.
and then we definitely want to by this because the first segment's going to go to the 17-minute after, and then we definitely like Kevin Korn is really itching to hear your mushroom trip. And you know get into that conversation too because now we're like running out on the first hour and I just want to make sure that we kind of go into that direction as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're the host. You lead the way.
All right. So, but yeah, it's definitely, it's quite the story, and I am curious about, how is it that you ended up like, I mean, you didn't do any time, did you?
No, and there's a reason for that.
Okay, and that's what I'm curious about too.
Yeah.
Your time is that you're doing all these like, it wouldn't be funny like, and your sentences is that you'll be in dinner theater and secret cover agent for the pharmaceutical companies.
One of the cops recognized me.
Really?
They had taken him for his birthday to the murder mystery.
That's funny.
Yeah. And I'll also tell you about, the whole good cop. I mean, this whole task force that busted in, they dropped all federal charges right away. They wanted my cooperation. And it was funny about that. They asked about my friend up north. I don't want to say his name, but he's got a Native American name.
Uh-huh.
Let's just call him Running Elk, okay? And it was funny because the cops had come to he's in a small town up there, and they had taken his plants twice, and they lost in court and had to reimburse him for his plants because he's Native American and he's a healer. He does massage stuff, and he's got all the letters. So so I said to them, you don't need to ask me about him. Just call your colleagues up north. They tried to arrest him twice. They lost in court, man. That's a whole religious sacrament thing at that point. That's like arresting Jamaicans,
Yeah.
You can't arrest Native Americans on the reservation for taking peyote.
No.
You can't do it, man. You can't arrest the Ethiopian Jews for smoking the ganja.
So, no, you
You're
can't.
Gonna lose.
So, did we
do... bring the religion thing into it, that's part of my religious practice, and it doesn't send me out into the street, naked with a machete. Sorry.
Well, that'd be great to like, maybe tie in, like definitely like the mushroom and all that kind of stuff with the Native American spiritual aspect to everything as well. Casper, what happened to Northblatt?
I don't know. Did he disappear?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Did you get tired of hearing me?
Okay.
No. Kevin, are you still with us?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if this call dropped or what.
Maybe he felt neglected and just hung up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know. He's not answering again. You'll have to ask him what's wrong at this point.
I mean, like you guys can jump in at any point, Kevin, if you want to.
That's all right. Let's see. I don't know. He probably just connection is bad. He said something about getting a cord.
Okay. All right. That happens. Like he kind of does have like a connection problem sometimes.
Let's see here.
Do you see him on? Is he online?
No.
Something probably happened.
This break's going to end in about 40 seconds.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'm so sorry the technical difficulties tonight do not allow you to hear from the back end of the show what the audience is hearing on the front end.
Right.
Oh, not a problem. No
But
problem.
those of you who know me well know that what goes on my back end is usually private anyway.
Yeah, a lot of times we get to do like both aspects of it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I told you the joke. If you come to visit over here, the front door sign says, if you're here to visit Sox, please use front door. If you're here to see Casper, please enter in the...
Northblatt is back.
Oh, he is?
All right, you got 4, 3, 2, 1, you're live.
All right, welcome back to Hollywood Hemptress Hour on the Time for Hemp Network. This is iHeartRadio, too, that you're listening to. With us, we have Kevin Korn and Howie Wallfish. Somehow we lost Northblatt for a moment, but it looks like he's coming back. So he'll be with us in just a moment. Welcome back, you guys.
It's great to be here.
Thank you.
Here.
Oh, good. There you are. Okay, we saw you disappear, and so I'm glad you're back. And
I'm having weird Skype issues tonight.
yeah, it happens. You know, Skype is famous for causing problems, but
Better you than me this time. Better you than me.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Anyway, I don't know about that. Now it feels like I'm singling Northblatt out. Better you than Kevin Northblatt. No kidding. Better you than him. All right. So we have Harry Wallfish with us, and just I want to catch up a little bit on the story, but before we do, we have a comedy clip of you, and well, kind of a comedy clip, but it's an interview that you were doing about 3 years ago with another comedian, and you want to set it up for a little bit?
With Sean Halpin,
Uh-huh.
a former Marine, a former defender of freedom. Great guy. Very likable on stage, very funny. And I had him on my live internet streaming talk show, which actually was with cameras, and we had to drive to Compton to do it, and that was pretty funny. But he was a great sport, and yeah, play the clip. It's yeah.
All right, well here it is. Here's
Okay.
Here's this clip.
Well, you sent me two. I need a name.
It's going to be the one that it's not the it's Howie Wallfish on it.
All right.
Yeah.
It is? All right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I can't tell if it's playing or not.
I'm not hearing it.
Got a minute 40 seconds on this thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you I don't have a second hand on this. Can you just cue me in, Casper?
Yeah, I will. I just letting you know so you can chit chat.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, Terry, that's it. Close your eyes and count back. Now.
Hold my hand for a second. I can't see. I'm blind.
I'm not that mean, am I? Have I ever been that mean to you?
No, it's just my natural reaction to stuff, you know.
Okay. Yeah, let me know, my guy. Just don't tell me 1 40-second, please. How about? And I know, Terry. I know most of your dates when they get naked, it's the same thing. It's going to be like a minute 40 seconds. Oh, please tell me when it's done, right?
Oh God, I hope not. That would be like, what happened?
Really? All right, you're down to about 30 seconds now.
I got some good blueberries this time.
Put your boxers back on. We don't need to see that problem. 10 blue balls. 10, 9, 8, 5, 4, 3. You are live.
Welcome back to Hollywood Hemptress Hour on the Time for Hemp Network. That was Howie Wellfish. And Howie, I just want to, let's just now. What I'm mainly curious about is how was it that you ended up not having to go to jail out of all this?
Okay. I'll tell you exactly what happened. They get in the house. Okay, 8 of them. Okay, all armed. These are federal agents. I don't know if you guys have any idea what it takes, the train, the cost, and the time.
Yes.
So I was sitting in a chair, and I actually looked up at them, and I said, you guys are federal agents. There's 8 of you, and you're here for a schlub like me, while Ahmed and Muhammad are trying to plant a dirty bomb in Los Angeles? And that's what I said to them. And that's when one of the big black guys with the green eyes looks at me and goes, you're familiar. And he goes, I went to that murder mystery show.
Oh my God, it's hilarious.
Then their big thing is, they want to make sure.
Don't I've had situations like that too, where I've had cops having you recognize you or something like that, and then I'm like, "Ugh," and it got me out of it. Was that a moment where you were kind of like, oh my God, something good might happen, or did you just think I'm
I'll
fucked?
tell you, I almost got out of being nurse. I'll tell you that part. Let me get to it. What happened was, first of all, out of the 8 of them, 7 of them were very kind. They knew that I was, basically terrified. They were very kind cops. When they come in a place, they want to know who's there.
Uh-huh.
Is there anybody else here? They want to know what weapons are there. Do you have any weapons? Yes. I have a rifle, a shotgun, and a 9mm. And it's in my room, in the closet. The 9mm under the mattress.
So did you really have weapons?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
see, now that right there is is a complete felon. Like I'm just shocked that you just actually walked away from this. You must have had friends on the inside.
I gave them some cooperation. I'm going to tell you.
Uh-huh.
They asked if anyone else was in the house. I told them my girlfriend was in the back room. They took their guns out. I said, oh my God, can I please walk with you back there just so she's not, freaked out? And they let me walk with them, and I knocked on the door. I said, honey, I'm really sorry, but we've got a situation. The police are here. And they saw, she was harmless, and there was nobody else there, and they put their guns away, and they separated us. And we had the dogs there, and thankfully, I had a pit bull, and they didn't shoot the dogs. You see all these stories about cops shooting dogs. It's horrible. They were all very kind, basically. They bring me into my back room, where I have all these boxes still from the boxes that were sent to me with the money, or my guy shipping me the bud, or whatever. And they ask, who's this? Who's this? I said, listen, all the people I deal with down here are decent guys. I thought they were $1/4 pound. You're wasting your time. They go, yeah, but what about, Running Elk? That's not his real name. And I said, what do you want from me about him? Just call your guys up north. They've tried to bust him 2 times. They took his plants twice. He's Native American. He has 40 letters. He's a healer. They had to reimburse him. They lost in court both times. I said, look, listen, I said, I'm not telling you about anybody I sell pot to down here because it wouldn't be right, and it's a waste of your time. I said, but I will walk into a meth lab wearing a wire if you'd like, because my feeling towards meth, crack, and cocaine, I'm not a big Bible thumper or Satan guy, but I really believe those drugs are emissaries of the devil. I mean, I've lost over 40 people to those drugs, so I have a personal hatred for them. I've seen talented people go nasty, beautiful people go ugly. I mean, it's just disgusting.
Right.
And I said, and they didn't believe me. I said, listen, I ain't joking. And I said, one thing I'm not doing is going to jail. Okay? So now we're in the living room with the 3.5 pounds of pot. And the one guy says to me, look, we're going to bring the dogs. If there's any other stuff in this house, you need to tell me now. Because if the dogs find it and you didn't tell me, it's going to make it worse for you. And my pal, who I got my product from up north, had recently sold product to someone else in L.A. who was screwing him over. And a few days earlier, he said, please go get that. It was in a suitcase, and I had a crawl space under the house, and that's where it was, and it was 7 pounds of pot, bringing me to over 10 pounds of pot total. And I had a debate for a moment. He's just bluffing? and if he does bring the dogs, they're going to be thorough, I would assume. So I had no choice. I had to tell him. I cooperated. Now, the female cop, Sissy, said, I heard him come in the living room and say to one of the other guys, we probably don't have to take him to jail. Then the cop asked me, the other guy asked me about any other product. And once I was over 10.5 pounds, they had to take me downtown. And I spend the night, overnight, and I got to get bailed out. And, it was a whole big pain in the ass. But when I got out in the morning, it dawned on me. It was just a few days ago, these guys from Ohio, who were related to the guy that snitched me out, told me they were sending me 25 G's. I had to assume these guys were working with the cops too. This was a whole setup. And that they wanted me to get the 25 grand at my house, and they were going to come get me again. And so I called them and said, look, I know what you guys are doing, and let me just get it out there right now. Before you busted me, I had a meeting with two guys, sold them a pound of pot, and they said they were sending me 25 grand in cash. So I'm just putting it out there, okay? I'm done, And they confiscated. These guys really said, they said 40 G's. And Sissy, my contact, she calls me and says, we got that money. And I said, you got that money? These guys know where I live,
So what, are you telling me that they got paid off, basically?
No, they didn't get paid. No. They didn't get paid off.
He's telling you he
They
snitched
did
out on
their
his
job
guys.
of following what I told them. That someone I was doing business with was shipping me 25 G's in cash. It turned out to be 40. Express mail. They confiscated it. You're not allowed to do that.
Uh-huh.
If you are doing it, there's something suspicious about it. Who the fuck does that? So I said, listen, you got to come by my house and put a business card on my door that says, you need me to call you regarding, they didn't know I was busted. I said, you need to put a thing that says, you need to call USPS Postal Task Force about a shipment, delivered to you, whatever. And so when I got home from jail, after I talked to them, I called these guys. I said, dude, I got a fucking business card from federal agents on my door. I'm done. I'm out of this business. Everything's been cleared out of my house. I am done. And these guys wanted to meet me. They said, no, you're just our guy that buys antiques and Mercedes. Our attorneys will take care of it. The guy says to me, we wipe our ass with 40 grand. He tells me, I made it 1.75 million last year. I met them at a coffee shop at a Denny's. I made 1.75 million last year, he tells me. I wiped my ass with 40 grand. I had a cup of tea, one of them had a cup of coffee. The check was like $3. Did they make a move towards it? No. 40 grand they wiped their ass with. They didn't make a move to the check. It was hysterical. So now what was happening was I had to go back down and meet with the task force and talk to the bad cop. This is the guy that was going to be the hard ass. And I said, listen, I've been totally cooperative, and I helped you confiscate 40 grand. And I know how this works. You use that money to be able to work your magic to go get other criminals. I said, so you got to give me some credit for that with the prosecutor. He goes, nah, that don't get you nothing. And he was an asshole, just a raging asshole, because that's bullshit. That's the whole idea of cooperation. So I had numerous public defenders. Each time you go to court, you have a different one. But the last one I had, I will never forget her, Hilda Usmanian. God bless her. I told her, listen, under no circumstances whatsoever am I going to jail. I will go on a lam. I will kill myself. But I will cooperate to catch meth dealers and crack dealers. Not a problem. I will wear a wire. Not a problem. Fuck these people. They're destroying my country. Fuck them.
Did you do that?
No, I didn't. But I made it clear that I would, and she
Right.
made it clear to the prosecutor. And you got to understand, when you get in situations like this, better that you get a public defender than you go hire a big-time attorney. Because the public defenders and the prosecuting attorneys have relationships. They see each other every day. So now it was the day of judgment. I was going to get sentenced. And I'm sitting in the gallery, and she talks with the judge, she talks with the prosecutor, blah, 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 blah. They go back and forth. The cops treated me well, but in the midst of the courtroom stuff, they are not righteous. They play games, and I told you what I did with that $40,000. So the prosecuting attorney didn't like that. The judge didn't like that I did that, and they said you don't get any credit for that. I was totally cooperative. She comes out from the thing into the gallery, kneels next to me, and goes, "Okay, the judge has had enough." And I'm like, "Oh my God." She goes, "He's fed up with the police not really being cooperative and acknowledging your cooperation. So here's the deal: you have 40 days of community service, 2 days credit for your night in jail, $3,900 fine, and 3 years of probation. You have to check in at the kiosk. You got to put your hand in this little sensor device once a month. They worked with you on the fine. I paid $25 a month. And community service, I kept getting extended. You know what community service is? Those guys on the side of the freeway with these.
Yeah.
I am not a physical laborer. Okay, anyone that knows me knows I am a very lazy man. You know, I am not a fan of I'm like Larry David in Curb Your Enthusiasm. I hire people to do this kind of stuff. So I was selling weed, and now I'm on the side of the freeways pulling weeds out of the ground in the hot sun. And some of the characters I met doing that, oh God, there was one big black guy that's a security guy at clubs, and he's just a great guy, very soft-spoken. But he left to regale me with tales of his sexual exploits. And he was very explicit. And it really helped get through the day.
Well, on that note, I do have to take a commercial break. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we got to come back. And
Okay.
yeah, you know, I'm still kind of confused about it all, but I'm really happy that maybe I'm just not smart enough to understand.
I'll wrap it up like I do with 30 minutes.
But you know what? But we'll be right back.
In a nice ball.
No, I got it. I pretty much got it. But we'll be back after this commercial.
Okay. Okay, tell me what you're confused about.
It's just you know the whole. I mean the thing that doesn't get me, and it's me. I mean I think Kevin and Northblatt get it better than I do. I just don't understand how like what happened between the police and the judge, and I just because like I mean to other people that would be.
One other thing that's important. Listen, I forgot to mention this, and I'll mention it when we come back. I'm not a career criminal. I have no priors. I had a DUI decades ago. I have no violence in my history. I'm not a convicted felon. And I'll be straight up honest with you. I'm white. I'm white, you know, at a certain point in life.
So I mean, I'm not saying like I'm not. Please don't think that I'm like judging anything here about like what might have happened. I'm just curious why certain people get convicted so harshly over something so small, and then you know it's like where's the like what's happening here? But it doesn't really matter. I mean, your story is absolutely compelling, and if I have a difficulty making a connection to like how the story broke down, you know, I mean.
Look, I'll tell you what a couple of the guys, I called it the chain gang, our time on the side of the freeway. I called it the chain gang. I'll tell you what a couple of guys told me happened to them and the sentences they got compared to what I did and the sentence I got. And it is extremely clear that there is still a racial element in those courtrooms. If you're a Hispanic-looking guy with neck tats and a shaved head, you're going to be treated differently than a white man in his 30s or 40s in a suit and a tie who has no criminal history. I'm just telling you, man, this is just the way it is. And it's not saying it's right. I got lucky. You know,
it's just
and I didn't get lucky. I mean, you told on the two guys who owed you the $25,000.
Well, I thought that was part of the cops setting me up. The whole thing was after I.
Oh, okay, that's the part that I was having trouble understanding. That's where my head wasn't computing that aspect of it. I get it now.
Okay, and the two guys I meet and I sell a pound of pot to who send me the cash are the uncles of the kid that was calling me that day when there were 8 postal task force agents outside my door. So in the aftermath,
but they still sent the money in the mail.
They still sent the money in the mail. At least that's what the police. At least that's what the
because they were setting you up. I don't think.
I don't know. I don't know. And to this day, I have to live with the uncertainty.
They were the ones who were setting you up, but you were the one who snitched them out. So the people who were
I don't know. For all I know, they got their money back. I don't know if they were able to keep their money. The truth is, I don't know if they broke any laws.
Well, then somebody got the money, right? I mean, if you want to, like you just said, you follow the money, you find out where the crime is.
Yeah.
I needed to get in front of that task force believing I was still doing business. I got out of jail, and I was supposed to receive 40 grand in the next day or two, 25 grand. And if I received it, and they were still watching me, I was cooked. So I had no choice, and I had to assume those guys were working with the Postal Task Force. It was all, again, this is risky business. You know, whenever you engage in what's illicit business, according to the law.
Well, no, I just thought it was a really funny story. It was a really long story and drawn-out story that came down to you telling on somebody else. And then the way you told it was very nicely covered, so you made it sound like really quick. But I picked up on right away. I go, as soon as you said you didn't go to jail, I was thinking, who'd this guy roll on? And instantly I went back to, oh yeah, the two guys who he didn't get his $25,000 from. That makes sense.
Coming back.
I mean,
Okay.
I had no choice.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have Terry Joyce live.
Welcome to Hollywood Hemptress Hour. I'm Terry Joyce on the Time for Hemp Network at iHeartRadio, and that was Casper Leach bringing us in, who is Time for Hemp, basically. Actually, in studio we have Kevin Korn, North Platte Forsgren, and Howie Wallfish, and you do have like a really interesting story, and I've so enjoyed having it on the show. We have like about like 2 more segments left, and you know what? I so want to get into talking about mushrooms and spending a little bit time on the hallucinogenic aspect of it.
I can wrap up the arrest story real quick.
Okay.
And we can move on.
All right.
Basically, there's one thing I didn't mention, is that I have no criminal past when this happened. No record. I don't look like a criminal. And the reason I say that is because when I went on I called it the chain gang, when I had to get up at 5 in the morning. For me, this is insanity. And go engage in physical labor. I met a guy that was young. He was like 22 or 23. He had a 19-year-old girlfriend, I think, and they had a kid. He was skinny, but he had the neck tats. And he showed me the picture when he got popped. And he had the shaved head. He was Italian, but he looked like a little Mexican gang member. He just did. He got popped with a half an ounce of pot. I got 40 days on the chain gang and $3,900 and 3 years of probation. I had 10.5 pounds of pot, $9 grand in cash, and they had me dead to rights shipping pot across the United States of America. Okay? He had a half an ounce of pot in his car, and he got 20 days on the chain gang, like a $3,200 fine. I mean, it was just ridiculous when you compared our sentences. And I personally think there's no other explanation but for I'm a white guy. You know, when they got me, I hate to use the term middle-aged, but I was just a regular white guy.
Oh my God, what year was this?
What year was this? Yes.
Well, the arrest was 4 years ago.
Yeah, if this was like in 1946, this all makes sense.
This was like 4 years ago.
Oh
I'm
my.
just saying.
This was just like 4 years ago?
I had a 70 Coupe de Ville. I live in the San Fernando Valley.
Uh-huh.
I had a 70 Coupe de Ville Cadillac. I got pulled over by a cop for no reason. When he walked up to the car window, when I deal with cops, my hands are on the steering wheel. I'm totally calm. I wait for them to speak to me. And the moment I rolled down the window and he saw me, I could tell he was like taken aback. He thought he was pulling over a little Cholo gang member because that's the kind of car they might be driving. He didn't expect to see a guy that looked like me. And he didn't give me a reason why he pulled me over, and I didn't ask.
So, but don't you think, I mean, Howard, I have to bring this up. Don't you think that this is kind of like unfair? I mean, that there's.
I'm not saying it's fair.
Right.
I'm just saying it's the reality of life, especially in cities.
Right.
And look, here's the deal. If you don't want to have trouble with the police, you need to learn to see things from the. I have friends in law enforcement. If you don't have trouble with the police, you need, and you're dealing in any kind of illegal activity, or you're of a certain group of people, that being young black men, young Latino men in a certain area, the inner city, the valley here, you better take a moment and understand the way the police perceive things. And if you understand that, then you are better suited to contend with them should you encounter them.
Yeah, but you know, see,
Howie, my question is,
What?
good understanding what's going on. Do you still work with them?
Work with who?
The police.
Oh my God, no. Once she gave me my sentence, it was done. All I had to do at that point was go once a month to the this building and near where I live and check in with the kiosk. I didn't even see the probation officer every month, and then maybe every 6 months, probation officer would want you to come and see him. And if you changed cars, you had to fill out a form. If you moved, you had to fill out a form. But it was really not too bad of a thing. The hardest thing I've ever done in my life, quite honestly, was 38 days on that chain gang. And when I saw the judge on March 1st of this year, he gave me till May 1st to complete substantial days. I owed him 28 days at that point. When I came back on May 1st, I had 4 days more I completed. He said, you have until August 1st, or you're going to go to jail. Every day you missed at the chain gang was 3
but
days in jail.
okay, I just want to go back to something that there's something here that's you know, because I know that sometimes, you know, like again, obviously one of the sad things about this movement is that there's racial profiling going on with it. You know, I mean, you know, we could go down to the beginning of when marijuana became illegal. They said, oh, they called it marijuana and they blamed it on the Mexicans. Okay, you know, I say yay for the Mexicans for bringing it in the United States, but I cannot believe that would be the only saving grace for you. And you know, but so it sounds like to me, and again, I'm not the smartest person here. I mean, I'm not stupid, but I get slipped up on court proceedings and you know, things like this because I'm not experienced with it. But I feel like I'm hearing that did the cops get paid off? I mean, where did that $25,000 go to? Where did it go to? No, I'm curious about, I mean, like, where is our government? Where is our law enforcement? Where is their integrity about this? That's, I mean, everything, you know, that's, I mean, and I don't mean, I mean, I love you, Howie, but I have to point this out. I mean, this is like, this bothers me.
I understand, but I'm trying to explain to you. You're misunderstanding that whole part of the story. The cops didn't get paid off. They confiscated what they considered to be.
Where did it go? Who has it? Where's that money at?
The United States
Postal $40,000 went to the Postal Service because it went through the Postal Service?
What do you think? Remember Miami Vice? What do you think the DEA does when they capture the drug kingpins?
That's the big question. You know, when I was in my raid, this is what happens. They take out like big screen TVs. They take the marijuana. They go, where's the money at? Where's this at? I'm not saying that that's the only.
Did you get zip tied?
Listen.
But
if you're asking me if there are police that are pocketing money or that are corrupt,
yes.
Yeah, there are. But
okay.
I have no doubts. That's not the reason I didn't go to jail, and I don't believe that Postal Task Force took that $25,000 for themselves because they were being hit up by a pretty strong attorney from these guys. They had the money to hire.
So Howie, did you end up outing somebody? I mean, then
no,
was it?
I didn't out.
There had to have been some sort of payoff. Somebody.
No, I had no criminal history. I was intense with the public defender. She was excellent at what she does.
Mm-hmm.
She had a I don't mean a sexual or intimate relationship. The prosecuting DA and her, they knew each other. They had worked on many cases together. They could look at me and look at my history. This guy does not belong in jail. That was it. He cooperated from the get-go. And even though there was that one asshole.
Wait,
Look,
what did
even though
Kevin?
there
What
was
did you
that one
say?
asshole-
What Kevin?
He did off. Okay, so in his own story, in his own murder mystery,
Uh-huh.
at the beginning, he did offer to wear a wire in a meth lab. That was like right off the bat. He was like, "I'll wear a wire in a meth lab." Woo-hoo.
That's exactly correct.
And he kept
And they
mentioning
didn't believe. They thought I was looking at me. I'm not a tough
guys
guy.
who owed him $25,000, but they never came back around. So I kept wondering what happened to those two guys. And once he said, "Well, I never went to jail," I was like, instantly, who'd he roll on? Who'd he roll on? And instantly, it went back to the two guys with the $25,000. Now, by his own admission, he got out of jail, went home.
Right, but it's not just them. The police are not righteous in court. They lie to the DA. They lie to the judge. They don't like this. The DA got fed up with the cops not acknowledging my cooperation. To the DA. Look, they have to write reports. There's notes taken from every step of the way of this.
I'm going by your admission of your account of the story.
Yeah, I'm saying they had it in writing that I cooperated from the get-go.
These guys, this amount of money, they're made this amount of marijuana, and they're making me back this amount of money. And then the police called you back and said, "Guess what? We got them, and we got the money." Next thing
they got the money. They didn't get it.
Charges were gone.
The what?
That pretty much tells me the whole fucking story. I don't need
the 25 grand. The 20. I'm trying to tell you what I was told. I told you when I went down to meet with the Postal Task Force after they confiscated the money, 40 grand. These guys didn't send me 25. They sent me 40. After that happened, I met with the Postal Task Force, and I said, "You guys got to give me some credit for turning you on to confiscating that money." And the asshole cop said,
Okay,
"No."
but see, there it is. I'm turning you on to confiscating that money. It's like you gave him a little extra. You're like, well, here, you're gonna profit from this. You were being a businessman with them. They were businessmen with you, and that's really what happened. There was really nothing that happened that was really legal or judicial here at all. There was you guys did a handshake. It was
to confiscate shipments like that.
Okay, but
all of us who are little cholo gangsters with neck tattoos, we wouldn't call that cooperation. We would call that snitching.
Well, you're missing the point that 3 days after I met with these guys, I got busted. These guys were related to the kid that snitched me out. He's on the phone with me. Are you backing that up right now? He was being coached by the Postal Task Force in Ohio. So when I got out of jail, I'm like, wait a minute. 2 guys come to see me from Ohio that are related to this kid that snitched me out. And they tell me they're going to send me 25 grand. I have to take care of myself. I have to not receive. I can't receive that 25 grand.
Right, so I'm not asking for an excuse as to why you told on them. I mean, we understand that. But the part where we were having confusion on
and I'm not judging the cholos. I'm not judging the neck tattoos. I'm talking about it from the perception of the police. And I don't think I'm not saying it's fair. It's just the way it is. I did not look.
So how do we go about changing that, Howie? If that's the way it is, how do we go about changing that?
yes, what is the answer? Because
I'll tell you, the only way you go about changing that, it starts with education with kindergartners in the inner cities and the families, and education of the police too. It starts with education that just because someone looks a certain way. Look, I live in L.A. Terry used to live here. They pulled over in West Hollywood a Ferrari, a black guy. They laid him out on a lawn on someone's house. A crowd formed. They are screaming at the police. That's Marcus Allen, who at the time was the biggest football star in L.A. The stupid cops, why did they pull him over? Because it was a black guy driving a super expensive car. But it was a black athlete. They're in LA.
I know. So why? I mean, and then we have OJ, who's like an athlete that gets off with murder, and now he's doing time because they got him later on. But it's like it's either people have money, or they have fame, or they have status, or they have a car, or they have, or they're white, or they're a woman, or I mean, this entire system is just completely not fair.
Well, I mean, I think there's some justice.
If we just legalized it, we wouldn't really have this problem, right? If we actually took this plant and made it legal and made it so that, and then maybe we actually like grow up. Why don't we just grow up as people and say, hey, you know what? It's not fair that we do this.
Let me tell you what the
And fuck you, you're not getting taxes either. I don't know. I mean, there has to be something.
Let me tell you what the female cop said to me. Because I said to them first the Ahmed and Muhammad line. Then when I was in the living room, I said, I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. There is no violence here. Nobody gets hurt. You guys, I feel, I said the worst thing I feel is that all these resources are being put on me where there's some really bad guys out there. And I said, there's no violence from pot. And she said to me, you are 100% wrong. There's a tremendous amount of violence from pot. And she's right. When you're dealing with the Mexican mafia, bringing it up from Mexico, when you're dealing with the gangs, believe me, there's violence. It's a different game.
Yeah.
My clientele were schlubs. They were just schlubs.
It's like it's like white collar crime. We don't have guns involved, but I do have guns in my closet, but I'm not really using them. I mean, like it's all, like no matter how we pay, no matter how we do it, no matter how we exchange it, there's a definite racial discrimination. This is a huge problem with this movement. The race thing is huge. I mean, that is one of the things. That's one of the the arguments is like why what is it, 9 in 10 people, or there's a huge statistic about how many people are doing time, and a lot of the people are doing time for marijuana related crimes. Let me tell you something, Howie. There are growers that grew marijuana medicinally that are doing time. There's a man that communicates with me through email that is exiled because of the fact that he actually grew marijuana for spiritual purposes. And then you tell me that this exchange happens with the police and there's racial profiling. It is a completely unfair system. Where is it there? Where's the balance here? Where's the balance?
I'll say, this is one thing I say to people all the time, and I've posted on Facebook many times, that there are any consenting grown adults who are either currently in prison or consenting grown adults who want to grow, smoke, sell, or share marijuana, that they have to ever consider the intrusion on their life of law enforcement. When they look back in 50 years on our time, the way they'll refer to that reality is they will say it was insane and barbaric, because it is nothing less than barbaric that law enforcement has any concern about consenting grown adults contending with marijuana. Now, if I was driving around the elementary school, pulling fifth graders over and